Yeah, man. So I get messages every day from people, every single day, from people that are going through the same thing with remote neural monitoring and artificial telepathy and the harassment of it all. And I know a lot of people think that it's some secret government program that you've been put on some list or whatever, but it's just not that. And if you get your neural monitoring, you could put anybody you want on it. If you chose to be a gang stalker, you could do that. But it's always, almost always somebody you know. It's almost always your ex that put you on it. So 9 times out of 10, if you're on it, there's somebody broadcasting to you. There's somebody broadcasting. There's somebody putting monitors on you. Little people is what they call it. Even if you don't hear people telepathic out loud, because it's confusing for people to understand how telepathic is. Telepathic, when you think telepathic, it's not like, well, it is like you could just receive a thought in your head, but it's not really like that. Most of the time you hear these people out loud. I could be standing here on my back porch and they can make this seem like the sounds coming from 50 yards that way or 50 yards that way. It's just settings on the neural monitoring, and they can make it come from where they want to make it come from. So oftentimes Marcus will try to do Emily voices. He'll use a voice setting and try to sound like Emily and try to make it sound like it's coming from Antoine's house where Emily is. But I know these people, so I always know who's talking to me. If I don't know, it's because I didn't take the time or effort to care. But the most important thing you could do that I've started to realize, there's a lot of things you can do. One, Facebook is the main stage. The Facebook companies, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and developers Facebook. That's where a lot of this stuff goes on, because what they do is they take the neural monitoring site, they take a script, a code from the neural monitoring site, and put that into a Facebook app or an Instagram app or whatever that they've made in Android Studio, and they can, at that point, they can link your account to it, and it won't show up anywhere on Facebook. So you have to learn how to make apps in Android Studio, how to make virtual devices, and how to use these apps with they use the SDKs in the developer's Facebook to link all of this stuff into an app, and they'll write extra settings into the app that you don't have on a standard Facebook app or Facebook on a browser. And then they can also go to like some app within the app, like the weather app or something like that, and that's how they can secretly access the settings to the neural monitoring. So it's not going to help if you get off Facebook. They can just make a Facebook and still link your account to it and still do their live streams. That's how they make money. So they're not going to quit doing that. If I deleted my Facebook, that would just take me off the stage. They would still be doing it. They would still make some Facebook account with my neural monitoring link to it, and that's how they would live stream. So they would still do what they do and make their money. Search Kevin Christian on Facebook. There's not that many. I'm sure there's a lot of Kevin Christians. Okay, it's probably not that uncommon, but the last time I searched, there was just pages and pages, thousands of Kevin Christians, and a lot of them are not really Kevin Christians. They're just accounts that have been made by gang stalkers to do live streams. So I found a lot of their accounts like that, their live stream accounts, their gang stalker accounts. There's lots of Kevin Christians. Some all kind of Asians and Indians and Middle Eastern looking Kevin Christians, and Come on, man. There's just thousands of Kevin Christians. It's because my neural monitoring is so famous because of all the stuff that's going on. And then now that I'm like the main one exposing what they do, it's even worse. So the most important thing is to learn about all of those things that I mentioned, and also to start learning how to edit pictures. And I'm gonna end up getting some kind of advanced photo, video processing, editing software, probably for my Mac Pro or something. That's going to be a big step. I know it's going to cost me a lot of money, probably $1,000 for a really good program. But when I get it, it's going to be hell to deal with, because right now I just use a free app like Photor or Lightroom or something, and I can process these photos pretty well. And since they're broadcasting to me, every photo I take is going to have gang stalkers that are doing live streams and broadcasting, and it's going to have their links in it. So the Instagram, all of my Instagram accounts are still blowing up. I'm still getting hundreds of followers every single day, and they're still deleting hundreds of followers every single day. Marcus and Ricky and Emily and a few other people spend all the time just trying to suppress what I do. And they literally delete like 500 people a day from following me on Instagram because of these type of photos that I post. And if you look at my photos, you can really start to see the links appearing in those photos. You can see the faces in the broadcast of these gang stalkers. Sometimes you can see them actually where they are and what's going on, and you can see the links to each of their live streams. There's links all over the place. So it's not gonna be long before I get a full link coming out of one of those. I know the neural monitoring site is at CIY something something, and then the second word is CLOPORIA, something like that. It's pretty long, the second word. I think the first word is not that long, the CIY. I think that's the first word, and then the CLOP is the second word, and it's kind of a long word. Then it's dot something something something. I don't think it's .com, but that's a neural monitoring site, and you got to be on the static PHP connection to get on it. And I've seen that site and other people's partial links of that site and other people's photos too. And I've been told a long time ago that was the neural monitoring site, and it shows up in lots of my photos. There's been times where I've seen it good enough when broadcast I could have wrote it down, and my dumb ass tries to take pictures. Because I used to think, shit, if I could see it, then my picture could see it, but the pictures just can't see it as good sometimes. So anytime really, but it's there. If you see it and you take a picture and your camera don't see it, that don't mean it ain't there. You just got to figure out how to edit. So working on these editing things is a big deal, and it's very important, and it's one of the most important things you can do to try to expose gang stalkers and to get access to neural monitoring and to your specific neural monitoring, to their live streams about you. Also, if they're broadcasting to you, even if you don't hear them, if you're on remote neural monitoring, if you don't hear them telepathically, they can still be broadcasting to you. And oddly enough, what you hear out loud isn't the easiest thing to record. It's almost impossible. I've not really been able to record much of that. But what I record very well is the broadcast, and a lot of times the same gang stalkers, but it's what they're broadcasting subliminally to you that you don't hear out loud, but you kind of hear it coming through mediums is what I call it. Like it disperses on other things. So like you'll hear it coming through static or traffic noise or refrigerator motor or your air conditioning unit or the vent or your water faucet or something like that. And that type of stuff is not easily, but it's way more recordable than what you hear out loud. And if you use a in-call record app for your cell phone and record calls, I just call myself and record the call. Then that's how I record them, and I still record them every day, all the time. I just don't go back and listen to it and process them and put them on SoundCloud like I used to. But that's a good way to find out kind of the inside scoop or whatever, the part that they don't want you to hear. the broadcast. Okay, when you record like that, you can go back and listen and you can hear the broadcast. So that's another important thing to give you an inside perspective on what's really going on and not what they're telling you out loud or whatever. So they're going to be on broadcast machines, and a lot of times it's got a lot to do with sex and rape and maybe even children and all kinds of bizarre things. A lot of these gang stalkers are evil people, and they're very lost on mind control. So I've put out several videos on how some of my editing techniques, and I got the Instagram at EMF Broadcast, EMF Mind Control, Martin Krisk, and remote_neural_monitoring. And those are the 4 Instagrams, and they literally delete 500 people a day to keep it from blowing up. So, you know, I got famous people that follow me all the time, and they just delete them too. They don't care. They're desperate. They're desperate in my situation to keep this thing from blowing up. Because I'm telling the real truth. So learn about editing your photos, and just look at some of my videos on some of the techniques I use. I try all kinds of different stuff, and all kinds of different stuff works. You know, sometimes it's hit or miss, but it's always there. If you're on remote and they're broadcasting to you, you're always going to get them in your pictures, and that is the most important evidence, real evidence, that you can start to compile that, and recordings, and get your internet logs. Go on your Wi-Fi, type in your IP 192.168.1.254, and take you to your control panel, and then get the log file. Get that log file. You're gonna see you know, several gang stalkers on your internet service and it's gonna be their virtual devices, and they're all gonna have a tunnel service that they're using to try to conceal their identity and location. But many cases they're very close to you, and all of those tunnel services are going to be linked to a static IP address, and that's what they're going to be using to live stream, because they like to use your own stuff to do it. They like to use your devices and your services to live stream you. Okay, so you want to get to the bottom of that, and at least get the log files and get their information. Also, the static PHP connection, they're going to have it where you can't get a static PHP connection, and they're going to have a lot of things disabled. They're going to be using a remote web-based control panel to control your internet service, and you're going to be limited to what you can control. But you know, the more of us that know about this, and the more of us that are working towards this, the more we're going to be able to take back what's ours, and take back our life, and shut these gang stalkers down, and get our neural monitoring, and make sure they get what they deserve.